Fair enough. And then can you just break down for us what is IP? Because this is a term that I know in the legal space. This is a term used frequently, used often. But for our student athletes out there, they might not be exactly familiar with. And I'm also using just to get a refresher for me. If you were to break down or simplify the term IP, like
Yeah.
what does that mean?
So IP means intellectual property, and it's basically everything that's, it's not everything, but it's basically intangible assets that are extremely valuable. In fact, IP assets are the most valuable thing that a business or an individual could ever own. When you look at most businesses, their IP is worth far more than anything else in their business, to a degree of between 50 to 70%. So if you look at the Apple itself, their brand is worth, probably 30 to 40% of the worth of their business. That means their trademark portfolio. And then their patents, their technology is worth, most of the rest of it. Of course, you have people, you have equipment and factories and flows and things like that. Those are all really valuable, important to run a business, but they don't come anywhere near the value of IP. And in fact, it's not just for big companies, it's for everyone. They're individual, whether you're an individual, whether you are a small business. IP is going to be broken down into four, I would say, main sectors that people should be concerned about. One is going to be your copyrighted content, for example. If you write a book, the copyrights cover everything from architecture, software, photos, videos, music, content that you create, graphics, poems, anything that's an original work of authorship. That's one big portion of IP. The second one is trademarks. This is going to be anything that is about your brand. So when it comes down to your name, your logo, your slogan, but also things like colors, designs, shapes, smells, anything that the public associates with your goods and services is a trademark of your brand. Trademark, they're identifying the source of goods and services. So that is all protected, via trademark law. And then patents protect inventions. This is going to be more, people invent a tool, a chemical, a formula, things like that. That's going to be covered by patent law. And then the last one is actually trade secrets, which this is anything of value that you've taken steps to keep a secret, and that would cause you, harm if it got out. So another one that I really want to talk about, though, because we're talking to athletes, is that name, image, likeness. It can encompass multiple of these areas of IP, because it's going to cover, of course, the copyright and trademark areas, both of them. And also there's a right to publicity. So that is also a very important component. I would almost call it a fifth sector of a type of IP, even though it encompasses a couple of other ones. So that's a breakdown of what IP is. And it's very difficult sometimes, if you haven't done it before, you don't have any experience, to identify actually what IP you have. And student athletes, they probably have a lot of it that they're not really protecting and leveraging, because at the end of the day, it's not just about saying you have XYZ patents and trademarks and copyrights. It's actually about saying, oh yes, I have XYZ patents, copyrights, trademarks, and this is why, I need to negotiate this deal and get more for it. Or this is why you're not allowed to do that with my name. So there's a lot of ways it needs to be leveraged, protected, monitored, and all of that is for the individual who owns, or the business that owns that IP's benefit.
Yeah, man, that's some that's something great. I
I know
mean,
I just talked a lot. One more thing is, IP really can be thought of as, you have income generating assets and activities and intangible things, such as, if you're an athlete, for example, your name itself, a picture of your face, those have inherent value because brands can use it to sell things. So things like that, you're, getting your IP protection in place, being knowledgeable about it, leveraging it in deals, that's just protecting your income generating activity and your income generating assets. So losing your IP rights or not being aware of them and leveraging them can lead to a huge loss monetarily for people. And the earlier on you can realize your rights, the better off it is.
Certainly. I mean, protection is essential, and I think it's one of those things to where we oftentimes don't hear about protection until it's too late, right? You hear about the athlete or the creator or whoever it might be is in a position to where they're like, well, wait a minute, how are they using my picture or how are they doing this and doing that? And then you would have to ask the individual, well, did you consider getting somebody else to look at the contract before you just signed it because you're excited about the amount that you were getting? Did you understand that the contract you signed also had a non-compete clause in it to where it lets you know that you can only work with this person and you can't work with other entities that may have a similar product or whatever it might be. So I think that's one of the things that it really hurts me. Anna, it hurts me to see a lot of times individuals who don't have the protection or or didn't get that legal insight. So if somebody is saying I don't have an attorney in place or I don't have any legal insight, right? Where would you say that somebody should start in terms of like identifying the right fit or the right attorney for them just to navigate through this space?
Yeah. So I think the first thing is understanding exactly what rights you have. I think that's a very important component. So, an athlete is going to have different types of IP rights than a engineer or, a tech CEO that owns a company. So for, a an athlete, a student athlete, you really want to work with someone, and this goes for everyone, every type of business, everyone who's ever looking for a lawyer, actually in any field. If you are doing anything transactional, which means something that has to do with money and paperwork, basically you really need to find an attorney that understands your business. That is the most important component whatsoever. If you are, a student athlete and you are about to go do TikTok brand deals with some sports companies, you cannot be going to an attorney that doesn't even know the difference between TikTok and Twitter. They have no idea what protections you need, how to leverage it, how much things are valued. So you really need to they need to understand your revenue streams, your business, how you're making money, what are the risks involved with that. There's IP attorneys that don't know anything about supply chain, and they don't know anything about global business and the different risks that are involved with a global supply chain. There's IP attorneys that don't understand technology or social media and things. So you want to make sure that you're confident that your attorney actually understands how you're making money, because that's what you're trying to protect is your revenue stream, which your IP is a revenue stream. So that's the most important component. I would say, see who you're comfortable with. There are not very many amazing IP attorneys, I would say, on social media. They tend, it's not a super common thing to have lawyers on social media in general. So, you can definitely look elsewhere. You can ask for referrals, things of that nature.